Welcome everyone back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video. My name is DFree, and in this we are going to go ahead and talk about the incredible transforming Goku that has recently come out in the game, and we're going to talk about the teams that he will be best in, and I'll give you guys some team building tips / guides for the teams that you would want to structure with him. So that being said, I hope you guys enjoy. Subscribe if you're new, of course, for more content here on the channel. And moving forward, so the Goku, I know that he is the hero leader, but that is statistically, hear me, the worst team that he can be on. Now, that's not a bad thing because it is a very, very, very good team, but it's just among all the categories that he has access to, that is statistically, again, the worst team that he can be on. So I'm not going to really spend a whole lot of time talking about the superclass team, the hero team, because it's not really relevant as far as this is concerned, because I wanted to take this video and twist and contort it in a way to where I show this Goku and all of his prominence on the teams that he can be on, because he doesn't have to be the leader. I mean, that applies to units like Tech Vegito Blue, who's the other hero leader, but he's at his best on other teams, such as ROG as well. So that's what we're going to do. But if you would like to know more about building a specific hero team, here are my very, very quick tips. If you have access to units that have Super Saiyan and or Prepare for Battle and Fierce Battle, they would be your priority. Otherwise, units that have access to Prepare for Battle and over in a flash like a SS3 Bardock or some of the Goku variants like Kaioken Goku and the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku, those should be very, very good key batteries for your team as well. Keep in mind that this Goku's links and his basic passive and all that stuff does change as you progress through. So those are some very general tips that I can offer you guys. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into the breakdown. So we're going to bounce over to the very first tab I have open here. None of these teams are filled in yet, but this is the Pure Saiyans category. This is his best defensive category statistically because Vegeta offers 170% to the HP and defense of every unit on his team. So on this one, Goku will be able to tank very well. This goes very well with his passive that allows him to mitigate damage. Also, we do have his best offensive category here, and shameless plug here, but if you guys do want to see this category in action, this Goku on this team, my Goku did almost 5 million damage on a run that we went through earlier today. That won't be down below in the description. It was a lot of fun trying to contort and twist and manipulate the team to allow me to get to Super Saiyan Blue, because it's actually very hard to get there for me, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Otherwise, he has two 150% across the board categories, and they are both very, very well rounded. Because of that, there's no clear dichotomy between the two, but ultimately it becomes what you want to do. So like I said, not really covering hero, but again, statistically the worst category that he has, but I will say hero doesn't hit that much worse than the defensive category here. So it's kind of like the same concept. But to begin, we're going to start off on the defensive team. Ultimately, the same principles apply to what I just mentioned earlier, because honestly, I can't make this guide for every single person. And what I do want to point out is if you have access to any of these 4 category teams that this Goku is in, because yes, he is always in all these categories. I know it's weird, Super Saiyan 1 Goku in Super Saiyan 3's category, but yes, he's in there. He could potentially get there, maybe not, who knows, but he'll still get the buff. That being said, if you can build any of these teams, right, choose whichever one feels best for you and your units and fits your playstyle the most. That's what I'm going to say. And also, I'm going to, as far as this video is concerned, typically cover the most optimal scenarios. And it's a little bit tricky because what it comes down to as well, you have to be aware of this as a player yourself, so feel free to test your Goku on these teams and make changes as needed. See how far you can actually get with the Goku, because that's actually very important, again, because the links actually change and all of that. So it's important to know how deep you can get into Goku's transformation chain when you are using this unit. So you want to be aware of that. So test it out yourself, and that'll help you make informed decisions as far as like what units you actually keep on your team. So for this one, for me, like I said, a lot of times I get to SS3 and that's pretty much it. And that's one of the things I figured, but again, I'm a whale. I spent a lot of money on the game. I have a very good account. That's not the case for everybody. And what we're going to do is we're going to bounce over to the Super Saiyan 3 tab. This is how the unit is when he gets there: 100% attack and 40% defense. This just so happens to be the middle transformation anyway, so I'm pretty sure this is where a lot of people are going to get at. I also stagnate at SSG. If I happen to hit SSG, it's pretty much the end of the battle. So yeah, we're going to go there, and I wanted to focus on this unit here. One trend for this unit, as he gets through Super Saiyan 3, he actually loses it when he gets to SSB and SSG. he loses access to having experienced fighters. So that's one thing I want to key in on when we're looking at his team building, because experienced fighters is a solid link that this Goku has access to through his first 3 forms. So you can really manipulate him and make him a little bit better than he otherwise would be. But wait, there's more. There's a unit here that you see that has it that's really, really good, and also has Over in a Flash and Limit Breaking Form and some of the other links that we will be utilizing up through this point. So of course, you know, the man, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, does make his way onto the team if you have this guy as an option. If you don't, any other Super Saiyan 3 Goku does work as well. And the same thing applies when we look at some more units that have access to experienced fighters. If I scroll down just a little bit, Goku's dad here, the leader of the Super Saiyan 3 category, is also in this category. And again, he has access to experienced fighters while also having access to Prepared for Battle, which helps a lot. It allows him to act as a key battery, and Over in a Flash, which he will need as Goku gets beyond the Super Saiyan 2 form, because he no longer has access to Prepare for Battle. He only has Over in a Flash and Shocking Speed through his last 3 forms. So I will add in the Bardock onto the team as well, because Bardock also happens to be one of the best possible units you can run on a lot of these teams because of the way his support passive works. Now, the way that I want to finish this off is I'm immediately going to put in Turles. He is going to take a designated spot just because Turles is too phenomenal a unit not to include, and he also can serve as a key battery as well. So one thing I want to finish off here is, depending on the player, right? Let me go ahead and show you guys what I would personally do with this last spot. Depending on the player, this is a flex choice for you because there's really no right or wrong answer. I personally am choosing my 240% supports here because they're both too good not to have. And then in the last spot, I would honestly choose a hero unit that has access to Shocking Speed or Over in a Flash, or some combination of Shocking Speed and Prepare for Battle. So for me personally, that last spot would probably wind up going here. And the reason being is because, like I said, this guy has access to those links. He's got access to Shocking Speed, which is what I would otherwise need. Now, again, I'm putting a lot of onus on making sure that key is a very relevant thing here, because our leader, we'll have 2 of them floating around every single time we use this team, and he actually, the Blue Vegeta, does not have access to the other links that this Goku would need to be very well off. They just simply don't have them. So you see that here. If I look at the links, it's just Super Saiyan, Prepare for Battle, and something else there. Probably experienced fighters, I don't know, but either way, that he doesn't have access to it. So we're missing Super Saiyan Fierce Battle, excuse me, and you know, the Prepare for Battle. Right here, again, we have access to those links as well, pretty much as far as that's concerned. Actually, you know, this Goku, wait a minute. This Goku, I think, actually does not have Shocking Speed. Hold on. I think he loses that. We'll go ahead and open up Shocking Speed as a link. I think this Goku actually does not. No, he does. Okay, I was going to say, like, it feels like he doesn't have it. He has Shocking Speed and Prepare for Battle, like I thought. Okay, so he fits that mold as well. So that's where I would kind of finish this off personally. And again, you can make flex choices. It's totally up to you. You could also include another support unit in there. You could also include a unit like this. This guy is a really good choice. Actually, any Kaioken Goku variant is a really good choice for this last spot. The new one is probably the best one in my opinion. Also, you have options with some of the SSG Gokus as well, but I want to keep this concise as possible. So that's where this team ultimately goes, and they're able to output well enough and tank well enough. Also, the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is a solid placement as well. So moving on to the next team, here we have access to the Super Saiyan 3 category team. So Bardock and Goku is one of the best tandems in the game for this Goku, ultimately. And the reason being is because Bardock is a 40% support unit, and there's going to be 2 of them. So I just talked about how having 2 Vegetas isn't exactly the best thing as we progress through. And that actually is not a problem for this, because Bardock is such a good unit. He actually has access to Over in a Flash and Prepare for Battle, which he would need Over in a Flash. He's also a support unit. Like, he's really good. So that being said, it's not an issue if you have this Bardock with the Goku and you have 2 of those guys floating around. But what do we do from there when it comes to the team? Now, I kind of already covered pretty much half of the team build just now when I said, hey, we would want to put a Super Saiyan 3 Goku on the team. Any of them really works because they trigger the same links either way. It's 3 across the board here. Really, it's just Over in a Flash, Shocking Speed, and like Prepare for Battle for the most part. That's pretty much it. I can't really depend on the links here too much because the links for this Goku do change. It's not able to trigger that, but ultimately you want a Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Any variant works for the most part. Also, Another option, this Goku has a lot of access to some very good buff bots on this category, especially because Over in a Flash is a 3-key link and not like a 1-key link. It really makes it very versatile, and this is why I said this is pretty much his best category to have access to. So you would want to include that Goku as an option. Now, if you don't have this Goku, you can include other units, but keep in mind that this Goku is doing one unique thing, and he is adding 33% of the support. You could really get cheeky from here, though, and add in this Goku as well, because he actually can be on the team as well, because he doesn't have the same name, but I wouldn't do it. You don't need that much support, right? Now, the option from here, of course, is you would want to include a Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. Either or works, but preferably the physical type. And right now, you have access to, if you look at it, you have access to very, very good damage dealing units. You can include I'm not really going to include many units that do not fit the category in this guide, but be aware you can do that. But otherwise, you would want to put in a unit that could do a little bit of both and probably had access to those links. So really, the last spot will be epitomized by another one of the Super Saiyan 3 Goku variants, because if you run the LR, you can actually run the Angel version here as well. Otherwise, you can include GT, because he's pretty much the best unit that you would want to put there. Him and the Vegeta are really, really good. Issue with the Vegeta, though, that he does not have access to the links you would otherwise want. But again, you have a bunch of other units that do, so it probably isn't that big of a deal. But you could also go full defense and include this Vegeta if you would like to. That last spot is totally a flex choice. You can go even deeper and try to add in more units if you like as well. So that's pretty much it for this team. And this one, like I said, is pretty much his best category as well. So moving on, we have access to ROG. Now, ROG is an interesting one because if I take a look at the transformations of the Goku, he's in a weird spot, right? Because ultimately, to really be well off on this team, he wants access to this link here because he would be able to trigger pretty much these two links almost all the time, right? But in his previous forms, he's not able to get those. So this is why I said you really need to assess how far you can actually get in his transformations, because I can tell you right now, the furthest I ever get is this, and that's on a good, on a good day. And if I get here, great. I can trigger Warrior Gods and Godly Power, and then ROG is infinitely better than it otherwise would have been. But if I don't get here, right? If I don't ever get to those stages, then the Goku can't really trigger those links for anybody or himself, pretty much. So if I'm capping out here, then I still need to, again, focus on having experienced fighters as one of the main driving links alongside Super Saiyan and Fierce Battle for this Goku to truly, truly be at his best. But if you take a deep dive into this link, there's not a lot of options in this category that actually have access to this link. So you're kind of screwed a little bit. So you really look at the other links and you try to go from there. There's nobody else really to give him limit breaking form, experienced fighters, Super Saiyan, Kamehameha, all that other stuff. It's not super prevalent. Kamehameha is a little bit because of the leader, right? But if we look at it from this perspective, where he pretty much has the same links for these last two forms exactly, I want to try to give him access to these two. So we're going to act as if we get here to these final two forms on this team build. So ultimately, having access to Warrior Gods and access to Godly Power means, a Vegito Blue variant is a must as well. And of course, I'm going to choose the man STR. Also, access to this guy is a must as well. You know what? Actually, this is where things get interesting, because Vegito Blue STR isn't exactly the best buddy. You know who the real best buddy is? It's actually Physical. The reason why is because Physical has access to Over in a Flash and Prepare for Battle. So he is able to act as a key battery for the entire team. But it depends on the rotations that you would want to set otherwise. And again, any of the SSG variants, it sucks STR loses PFB when he awakens for whatever reason, and they replace it for the link he gets, Fierce Battle. But any of these variants works for you as well. But ultimately, I like to use the AGL one. But right now, I'm actually going to choose the STR because there's too many AGL units if I put that guy in. So now we're looking at this, and you can go from here however you would like to. You can also swap some of these choices out, right? Because you can go Jiren, because Jiren's actually really good late game with this Goku, because Goku has access to shocking speed, and he's the only unit that can really supply Jiren with that, unless you include LR Beerus or Topo, who's one of the best units for this category as well. But if you would like to make it a little bit cleaner, what you can also do is dip out of the Vegito Blue discussion and include another support unit like Whis, who does trigger some links, but also applies a massive buff to the entire team, while also being a key bot for the entire team as well. And this team is probably one of the more versatile ones because it has access to a lot of different options if you're trying specifically to optimize the Goku. So you can do a lot of different things. You can include Vegeta variants and try to trigger Warrior Gods and also trigger Godly Power and also trigger like the key links that this Goku would have, and you'd be good off, right? So that's what I like here. Sorry if that one wasn't too much of an explainer, but I'm trying to move kind of fast. And in the mantra of moving fast, we have probably the most amalgamated category that there is in the game, because this one is weird. It's very, very weird, because when we look at this category, it's just a bunch of random units. I understand the premise of it, but in the context of team building, it's not the best category. So I would argue that this is the worst category that you can use this Goku on. Not statistically, of course, but just overall unit-wise. But if you do take a look at it, you do still have some of the same overarching themes that we've looked at in some of the other areas. We don't have access to much key support or things of that nature, but we do have access to key bots. You know, we can use units like this that can act as buff bots for the entire team and kind of patch some of those holes and deficiencies. The good news is the Goku leader does have shocking speed, so that will be a link that he's able to trigger for this guy as they progress through the forms and stuff like that. He also does have prepare for battle. Again, that works very, very well. If you're going to have both of those links, that allows you to act as a bridge through Goku's transformations key-wise, because otherwise Goku really would struggle, and I'm not kidding, to super attack. So this guy acts as a bridge, so that's really all you need. So that is ultimately it for this category. I don't really have a whole lot to say, because you have options between acting as buff bots and stuff like that, but you really don't need a whole lot of that going on. It ultimately depends on which way you take it as well, because if you take it more of the ROG type stuff, it depends. So anyways, have an awesome day. I'll catch you guys in the next one.